Beautiful, right? But look further. You'll see them. They're a restless bunch in search of beauty. There's the unyielding conquerors that won't take no for an answer. Yep, that's this place. Perfect for those who want a little more. Some people look forward to the destination, while others don't mind a cheeky detour or two in search of a little more.
Moments away from cars getting out onto the first stage here at Beaumont. First time the live stream's been here in a couple of years. It's really, really good to be here. So we can see officials getting ready. See the officials jumping behind the wheel before we head out onto the track. There it is, the Adelaide CBD. Awesome city, and we are just a stone's throw away, just a few meters away. We're just a couple of kilometers away from the heart of the CBD. That's one of the great things about the Adelaide Rally. All the stages very much near the city, near the CBD, which is a really, really cool thing. So we can see the first cars beginning to line up at the bottom of the stage. Of course, this first one, Beaumont, as you can see, all the way up the hill from these magnificent drone shots. So yeah, the start line is just down there. You see the cars, the first car, the Porsche, and then we've got a McLaren just behind. There it is. The Adelaide CBD. You can see just how close we are to it. Here we go, the first of the course cars heading up the hill. It's not just me here this year in commentary, Dan McCarthy. I'm joined by Nick Lenthal. Nick, how you going?
I'm good, Dan. Thanks for that. And to back up your words, welcome everybody to the 2023 Adelaide Rally. We are, as you said, only probably 5 kilometres from the city centre. I can't think of anywhere else in Australia where you can do this. 5 kilometres from town and you find one of the best rally roads around the country.
Oh, it absolutely is. For many people, this first stage, Beaumont, is their favourite stage. You're a veteran of the rally. You've done it many times. For you, this stage, Beaumont, what's particularly special about it?
Well, the important thing about this first stage is that it is just that. It's the warm-up. It's just to get you... I mean, these guys only got out of bed a few minutes ago. And this stage is to give you a taste of what's to come. There's 2 hairpins very early on, and then a little climb up a hill. You'll see at the start there is a slow point, just so that everyone gets to have a go at doing that. And in fact, the times for this stage do not count towards the event. And there's a very specific reason. It's because everyone needs to just settle in. It's a very compact stage, probably only a couple of kilometres. And it just gives you the chance to make sure your belts are right, your communications are right, everything about the car is the way you want it to be. Because 5 minutes from here, we'll start the Eagle on the Hill stage, and that will really give you a wake-up.
Yeah, certainly will. We can see cars now on the grid. So the first couple of events are tours. So we can see the Zagami tour is going to be first. That'll be followed by Mercedes, BMW, Porsches, Hyundai, and then the main tours, which are a bit of a mix of all different machines. And then we'll be on with the competition classes, TSD, Challenge, and of course the outright competition class. They will be really giving it their all, as we say though. This really a little bit of a warm-up, a little bit of a teaser of what is to come. We've got 3 stages today. This one first thing this morning, and then 2 this afternoon. We've got 2 live stages tomorrow, and then on Sunday a new stage, the Strathalbyn Town stage, a very new and very welcome addition to the programme this year. We're really looking forward to getting there on Sunday afternoon, so make sure you tune into the live stream, or even get down there if you're in the local region around the Strathalbyn area, or anywhere really around Adelaide. Make sure you get down there. Should be a great spectacle down in Strathalbyn. Looking forward to that, and very much looking forward to this, as we can see all of the cars lining up, and led by that McLaren tour leader number 1. That is Brad Johnson behind the wheel. And that's the McLaren Artura, a pretty new McLaren, that one still. Oh, can hear the tyre squeal going through that first chicane, and you can see it's a very twisty section of road up the hill, and then in towards the hairpin section towards the middle of this stage. Yeah, we can see the next McLaren is taken off, and away they go. Don't they sound awesome? We've got the flat 6 there of the Porsche as well. So cars flying up the stage already. So these guys are only separated by just a handful of seconds. The competition cars that'll come a bit later, they're separated by a fair bit more than that. Of course, for competition purposes, they're all timed. These guys aren't timed, they're just here having a bit of fun. And is there anything more fun than driving a supercar up the hill? I don't think there is, personally anyway. But yeah, this is a really iconic stage to kick off proceedings here in the 2023 Shannon's Adelaide Rally. You can see the way it gets a bit tighter a little bit further into this stage. There is the number 61 machine, that's Scott Beckinsdale, and his McLaren 650S. Got a few McLarens coming the next few, so 62 is John Amos, and then James Kennett as well. So a couple of McLarens. We are 62, so this is John Amos in his 650S Spider. Of course, the convertible version, or the soft top version. They roar up the hill. Cars will continue to come through. Got 300 entrants this year, a good field of cars. So Zagami itself is quite a lot in Zagami alone. If I have a look, 53 in Zagami, and we've got 20 in Mercedes, 20 in BMW and Mini. We've got 23 Porsches, a few Hyundais. The main and Spirit Tours, 33, 36, and then the competition cars after that, 12 in TSD, 16 in Challenge, and 19 in competition.
It's been really good to watch those first few leave, Dan.
Certainly has been. It's been really cool to see so many millions of dollars roaring up the hill in front of you, Nick. Pretty lucky to be standing right there.
I know, I was in a lot of trouble trying to choose which one I would like to keep. But a procession of McLaren and Porsche and Ferrari. Really, really good start for such a fantastic event. And of course, these days there's as many spectators along the course waiting to see these super sport cars as there are waiting to see their competition crews come through. Which of course will come later. These guys, as you pointed out, are just enjoying a good drive in the country on closed roads, so they can use both sides of the road. They are speed limited, but it does make it a very enjoyable run through the Adelaide Hills.
Yeah, I think that's a good point you make there, that of course the tours are speed limited. They can go a bit faster than what the actual road sign speed limit is, but they're not free to just completely let loose. But that of course means that anybody can compete in this event. That's one of the great things about it. If you've got a nice Toyota 86 or anything like that, you can bring your car to the event, join the main tour, the Spirit Tour, and you can drive it. That's one of the great things about this event, isn't it, Nick?
It is. It's a wonderful opportunity to not exceed those speed limits on a normal road day. You can go out and have some fun. It is an entry point for people who then sometimes progress into the more competitive categories like challenge and full competition. And it's become a very, very big part of the rally.
Certainly has. And cars will continue to stream through, but there, look at that, brilliant shots watch us by the drone footage. You can see the CBD, and I think that is even the sea. You can almost see beyond that. That is really, really cool. Of course, the Adelaide Rally, there's so much motorsport that happens here in Adelaide. Of course, next weekend we've got the Adelaide 500, the title decider, who's going to win the championship. It's all to play for between Brodie Kostecki and Shane Van Gisbergen. But of course next year as well, we've got the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. That returned with a big bang earlier this year, and there's already been some great announcements already for next year. A couple of F1 cars already being announced, so yeah, very much looking forward to that early next year. That's the week before the Australian Grand Prix. But of course, so much history, not just with the Adelaide Rally, but motorsport in general in this state. And we can see the next set of vehicles lining up. That's Christopher Ryan there behind the wheel of his Porsche 911 Turbo. Really nicely presented machine. You can see pretty much all of these Zagami cars have Zagami Adelaide written on the side. Of course, Zagami Adelaide located on Glen Osmond Road. Yeah, big thumbs up to the camera there from Chris. Great to see. And alongside Chris is Cheryl O'Connell. So they are very much looking forward to this. Cheryl giving us a smile. She's looking forward to the weekend's action. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Glorious conditions here this weekend. Really, really good. Couldn't have wished for anything better. We saw last year there's a bit of drizzle, a bit of spitting of rain at times, and then we had one sweltering hot day as well. This year, 25, 26, sunny, for all 3 days. We couldn't ask for better weather conditions than what we have been provided this weekend. So we're really looking forward to basking in the sunshine. Nick certainly will be, that is for certain. He'll be at the start line on several of our stages. As I say, if you're just tuning in, we've got 6 live stages this weekend, 3 today, 2 tomorrow, and 1 the new stage in Strathalbyn on Sunday. Very much looking forward to getting there. So Zagami, as we can see, the Zagami cars. Of course, Zagami sell all sorts of motor vehicles, all of them pristine, beautiful machines, BMW M2s, anything really, from Lamborghinis to Ferraris, Aston Martins, and pretty much everything else in between. So yeah, in this list I've got McLarens, Porsches, BMWs, Ferraris, and we can even see on the start line there a little Hyundai i20N. That's Alexander behind the wheel. I'll throw down to Nick.
Yeah, you can't get a more diverse mix of cars than this, Dan. We have 2 Porsches followed by a i30N and BMW. Which, Yanni, but you probably correct me on that, Dan. I'm not going to get into that. So it's just another reflection of the diversity of cars in this event, and the fact that if you've got one of these cars and you want to actually stretch its legs a bit, you too can take part in this. And you never know, you might get the taste of it and finish up building a car specifically for rallying.
There's a bit of diversity just driving behind you. A Lamborghini, first of the V10 cars that's going to head up this hill. It's almost a hill climb, this one, isn't it, Nick? It's a rise all the way up the hill from the start of the stage right to the very end. I don't think Nick can hear me just at the moment, probably because of that very V10 engine. That's all right, we'll come back to Nick in just a moment, but we are not too far away. So that's Dennis Sims at the wheel of that Lamborghini. Doesn't it look awesome? A white Lamborghini, nothing quite like that, Italy's finest. You can see officials just having a conversation. We're just awaiting these next cars to head up the hill.
I can hear you now, Dan, and I am looking forward to listening to this thing scream up the hill.
Yeah, it certainly will scream. I was saying before, Nick, it's a rise all the way up this hill. It's almost like a hill climb, isn't it? We're at the lowest point of this stage, and it's a climb all the way to the end.
Well, that would be very tempting, actually, to run this as a hill climb every year, wouldn't it?
Certainly
there's a lot of vantage points along the way. The first few corners are quite fast, and then up to hairpins, but all the time it's going uphill. And there's a golf course nearby. You could probably go there for lunch.
No, I'd rather be driving one of these up the hill than playing at a golf course today. That is for certain. There's a big stream of cars now we can see lining up, which is really, really cool. So we are not too far away now from seeing the cars once again head up the hill, and we'll be seeing quite a few of them, from Hyundais, Lamborghinis, BMWs, and the rest. All the Zagami cars are in line and ready to go. I can even see a convertible Lamborghini a little bit further back. That's the Lamborghini Huracan. Very nice, very cool piece of machinery. We'll be seeing that head up the hill. The convertible Lambo, really, really cool. We can see from the drone shots just how many are lined up. And here comes a car through. That's a nice looking Porsche number 64. David Nicholas at the wheel of that one. Porsche 911 GTS. Just trying to sort out the order. Of course, this is stage number 1 of the weekend, so everyone's just getting a little bit of a feel for what order they need to be in. and everything like that. It looks to me like everyone's pretty much in number order for this one. And that's why Dave Nicholas had to make his way forward, number 64. Maybe took a wrong turn on the way. We're not too far from where all the cars are located. They set off every morning from the Adelaide Showground. It's a real great area for all the cars. They stop at the oval and then make their way onto the stages. Thumbs up from David. Alongside him is Lachlan Winter in their 2014 911 GTS. Hard to believe that that's nearly 10 years old now. It still looks as good as it did when it was released. And that Lamborghini just ahead of it as well is older again. Now that's got to be nearly 15 years old now. The white Lamborghini at the head of this next group. So that's tour leader number 2, Matthew Sims, alongside Dennis Sims. Of course, there's a lot of families that are around this, and it looks like Nick's down there ready with David.
Hi Dan, just down here with one of our Porsches from the tour, and just want to see you know, how they're coping with the trials and tribulations of competing in an Adelaide rally. So firstly guys, tell me, is this your first rodeo?
How are you, mate? This is not my first rodeo, this has been my third rodeo. Yeah.
And you've enjoyed the event previously?
It's absolute belter, and this weekend looks even better weather-wise, so looking forward.
We're blessed with perfect weather. Now that you've done the event a few times, you must have a few favourite stages. What's your choice?
Day one is absolutely my favourite, yeah.
Particular stage?
None in mind, all of them. I think I need to go now.
I think you do too. All the best, guys.
Awesome to hear that Lambo take off, and now we'll hear David take off as well in his 911. Pretty cool to see you down there, Nick, chatting to some of these drivers, and great to have David back again, once again. So we can see the little Porsche jump through the chicane. Little tricky chicane to start the stage, actually. Brilliant drone footage. Look at that as they wind their way through the S's and down towards the tight right hander. It just gets tighter and tighter and tighter as you go through the stage. You see Armco aligning the side of this stage all the way up. That's one of the great things about the Adelaide Rally. A lot of the stages are aligned with Armco barriers or banking on the side, just to protect the drivers either side as they head up the hill or down the hill, depending of course what stage you are on. Porsche takes off now up the hill, closely followed by, I believe that's a Lotus just behind as well. So great variety of machines. It is a Lotus Exige 410 Sport. Pearl yellow is the colour described in the entry. So that's number 75 Sotri behind the wheel. So we've got a reasonable amount of this stage covered. It's a pretty short first stage, that is for certain. Just over a kilometre in length, and we're showing about 600 or 700 metres of it. So a pretty short first stage, this one. Car number 87 now coming onto the stage. This is Josh Hawkins in his Kia Stinger. That's the GT Carbon edition, apparently. And that is a interesting shade of orange. I'm not entirely sure what I'd call that. but he's getting ready to go. We've got our first Alfa Romeo as well, I can see just behind, lining up on the grid. Brilliant drone footage again, showing the foothills really of Adelaide. We are just about on ground level right here at the start of this stage. We're probably 5 or 6 meters above sea level, but it really is where the Adelaide Hills begin, and that's what makes this stage so iconic, that you really are roaring up the first of the hills that we're set. If you know the Adelaide region, we're sort of alongside the freeway that takes you to Melbourne. So yeah, the Princess Highway just running alongside that as they go up the hill. That's tour leader number 4. That's Martin behind the wheel of that Alfa Romeo. The iconic rims that come with those, the 5 circles within the wheel, they're quite iconic with that Alfa Romeo, and Alfa Romeos in general these days seem to have that. Really cool to see. There we are, zooming in on it, you can see the brake caliper and everything within that. It's a pretty high tech piece of technology these days, that's for sure. Alfa Romeo really producing some beautiful cars, some fast cars, and of course still entered in Formula 1 to a degree, not as a outright manufacturer, but as a team. Of course driven by Valtteri Bottas in China's Guanyu Zhou. Of course earlier this year we had Valtteri Bottas at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. Cars again lining up. Got an awesome eclectic mix: McLaren, Ferrari, a little Fiat 500, a Bath, an old school Porsche, and then a Aston Martin as well. So there really is an eclectic mix, particularly in this next bunch behind tour leader number 4. All lined up on the grid, just trying to work out who's going to lead, who's going to follow in hot pursuit. Nick, are you down there?
Dan, I'm down here surrounded by Ferraris and Mercedes, Alfa Romeo. You mentioned the wheels on the Alfa, formerly known as telephone dial wheels, which you can't say to people today because no one has a dial on their telephone anymore. So no one would know what you were talking about. But just a plethora of heavy metal down here that is beautiful to watch. We've already had some good sounds from the Lamborghini sprinting off from the start. And these guys, once they've finished this stage, will go to the Eagle on the Hill stage. 3.1 kilometres, lots and lots of corners, all uphill. It starts off very tight and leads up to the old Eagle on the Hill Hotel. It's no longer a hotel, it's now owned by an Adelaide family, but it was at one time the main road to join onto the freeway to head to Melbourne. Since the birth of the Hyson tunnels, that part of the road is not used a lot these days, but it remains one of the most iconic stretches of road in Adelaide. And look, back in the day, probably in the 60s, there were probably a few rev heads who had a bit of a go up and down the Eagle on the Hill Road. Of course, that would be socially irresponsible now, so we can't do that. But Dan, tell me some more about these cars that are lined up right behind me.
Yeah, I certainly can do that. So I can see just directly behind you the number 82 machine. That's Gary Patel behind the wheel in his Mercedes GT Night Edition, apparently that one. And it looks very, very nice. Ahead of the number 83, it's a Porsche 911. Oh, no, it isn't. That's a BMW. I can see out my window in front of me. So then we've got the Siciliano, Italo Siciliano. He's in a Porsche 911 Carrera S, and then Remo Siciliano just behind as well. So really cool to see so many families, as I say, a lot of them sharing driving duties. You can do that in the tours. Yeah, you can both drive the car and switch, have somebody be a navigator. So you can switch as the stages go on. All you got to do before the event is just allocate who's going to be behind the wheel for each stage. That's compulsory, but other than that you can switch every single stage if you want to. But with this, you know, with Eagle on the Hill just a few hundred meters away from the end of this stage, it's unlikely that any driver pairings will switch straight after this one. As we can hear the Porsche, the flat six, take on up the hill, really dipping and weaving through the fast chicane section, using a fair bit of brakes. Of course, you can only make yourself look a fool in stage number one, particularly when it's not a time stage, particularly for the tours. For these guys, it's all about having fun, not caring so much about speed limits, and roaring around the glorious Adelaide Hills. Many of the stages are in the Adelaide Hills. To say this, very much in the foothills. I'm just going to let you listen to some of these sounds as they roar up the hill. See from the start line, with an older Porsche there going up. That's an 87 Porsche, driven by David Burton, 911 Carrera. Very nice presented machine. They roll up the hill. Really cool to see. Up next we've got Tour leader number 4 waiting at the start line, the Alfa Romeo Giulia, I believe that is. And then we've got a Ferrari number 92, that's Hayden George behind the wheel of the F12 Berlinetta, and of course that's a pretty new addition to the Ferrari range in recent years. But again, it's probably 8 years old now, so it just shows how times move on. You know, it was only yesterday, I feel, that the Ferrari F430 was the brand new Ferrari on the scene, and well, that's now 20 years ago. Times move on so quickly, don't they? So we can see on the stage of cars ready and waiting, a few Porsches in this next bunch. If you like your flat sixes, we're certainly not short of them, and we won't be short of them a little bit later on as well when the Porsche Tour comes through the stage number 1 of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally here at Beaumont. And there is the Alfa Romeo heading up the course, taking it nice and easy on this first stage. So yeah, Shannon's supporting the event once again this year. And of course, Shannon's shares your passion. They are, of course, motor enthusiasts just like us. I've heard as well that they, of course, can insure cars, but also car-related bits as well, engines, tools, anything to do with cars, they can insure, and that's what makes Shannon such a unique insurer and a real great sponsor of the Adelaide Rally. Really cool to have them back on board this year. Of course, we've got to thank the South Australian government as well for supporting the event. Wouldn't be possible without the South Australian Labor government. Of course, Peter Malinowskis bringing back not only the Adelaide 500 but the Adelaide Motorsport Festival as well. I'm sure he'll be very much looking forward to the event next weekend, the Adelaide 500, and I'm sure he'll enjoy this as well. So yeah, very much we've got to thank the South Australian Labor government for what they have done for motorsport in South Australia in the last 12 months or more. It's really great that the Adelaide 500 has been revived and back on the South Australian program. These cars, they just seem to be getting more and more expensive, don't they? Some really modern Ferraris roaring up the hill. As you say, if you have some money, a spare mil, or even the BMWs, you know, you can buy a much cheaper supercar, the BMW M2s, M3s and the like. You can go to the Zagami shop front on Glen Osmond Road, which is really a stone's throw away from where we are, just a couple of kilometres down the road. Very much a home circuit for many of these vehicles. So yeah, Zagami just down the road. So yeah, if you like your supercars and you have a spare bob or two, make sure you head down to the Zagami office, and yeah, you can see all your car dreams, your desires, right in front of your own eyes. So, Zagami Tour is now done and dusted. We've got Mercedes up next. So we've got quite a few of those about to roar up the hill. So entries number 200 and onwards. So first up, Gordon Fraser 201, a Mercedes C63. Look at them all. You can see there the little A45, and you got C63, CLA 35, and it just goes on and on. So yes, if you like your Mercedes, this is the tour for you. Of course, Mercedes so heavily involved in Formula One, not only as an engine manufacturer but a team as well, of course. So much success in recent years in the turbo hybrid era with Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, and of course more recently taking race wins George Russell as well. So Mercedes, such a history in motorsport, a real iconic brand. The star at the front, infamous not only with motor racing but also road cars as well. There's been some magnificent cars made by Mercedes over the years. In fact, every single Mercedes really is a magnificent piece of machinery. Again, brilliant drone footage. You can see them hop through that chicane. And roar down the slalom towards the tighter section of the course that is late on in this stage. Wheel spin I can hear from my commentary position, which is only probably 15 metres away from the start. I can see just a bit further behind a Mitsubishi Lancer trying not to take part in the stage, just a local trying to get to work. That's one of the great things about this event, that people can still move around. It's just so well organised. It really is the amount of work that goes into making this event happen. Over 320 volunteers again this year, Nick. It's remarkable. Every year there's always over 300 volunteers, and without them this event just would not be possible.
That's right. The 300 volunteers is a lot of people to organise and have help you. And it would be literally impossible to run it without that kind of support. In reference to Mercedes, I was just going to add, Dan, that they actually have a rally history as well, because the Mille Miglia, one of the great road events of history, featured Sterling Moss in a Mercedes 300 SLR, who set an average speed of, I think, 96 miles per hour in 1956 in that car. And it's really hard to comprehend that you could do that 70 years ago.
Yes.
But yeah, Mercedes, a wealth of motorsport history, and rallying not excluded from that.
No, you're exactly right. And for me, what really sticks out for me is Sterling Moss has always said that's his greatest victory. None of his Formula One victories, that was his greatest triumph. Of course, he beat Fangio over that race event in the very same vehicle. So it really does, he really holds that event in very high regards. Of course, Sterling Moss no longer with us now. Recently passed away, the F1 legend, who many say the greatest Formula One driver to never win a Formula One World Championship. Finished as runner-up, I think, on 4 separate occasions, and I think finished 3rd in the championship a couple more times as well. So remarkable that he never quite was able to clinch that Formula One title. Very nearly did in 1958, but was pipped by fellow Brit Mike Hawthorn. Mike Hawthorn, in doing so, became the first ever British Formula One World Champion.
That's a dubious honour, Dan, to be the greatest driver never to win a World Championship. Sterling Moss, also a competitor in the rally previously in Adelaide, in the old days of the Classic Adelaide Rally, probably in the early 2000s, I would say. But he did make the comment that the Coromandel stage, which of course was on Coromandel Valley Road, it may have been called the Clarendon stage at that time. He did make the comment after the event that it was one of the best stretches of road he'd ever driven. So SA's roads rank highly worldwide.
Yeah, they certainly do. That is for sure. And I live around that Coromandel Valley region. I know that piece of tarmac. It's a glorious bit of road, and we're so lucky that we are able to drive on some of these. But that's why the Adelaide Rally really does click, why it really does work. It's not just the area of Adelaide, it's the awesome pieces of road. The hills are what make this rally. As you twist and weave all the way up. You know, it's 30 stages or 29 stages this year, but crikey, you could make it 50 stages, no problem. There's enough brilliant roads in this region of South Australia to host a stage, that is for certain. And we are commencing, as we say, here in Beaumont with a little stage just over 1 kilometre in length. And the next batch of Mercs are getting themselves ready to take up the stage. Going back to the volunteers, as you say, just over 300 volunteers and just over 300 cars. It's almost a volunteer per vehicle, which is quite remarkable, really. But while we're here, we have to explain this, while we're here, there's other people at stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, getting those stages set up and ready to go. And then, of course, the people that set this stage up, they'll move on to stage 6 or 7 this afternoon and get that stage set up. There's about 4 or 5 groups that do 2 or 3 stages each day, and that's the way it works. And it's so well organised how it all comes together, isn't it, Nick? It really is a real group effort.
It's a logistical masterpiece. I'm glad I'm not in control of it, because it might go pear-shaped. But yeah, it is lots and lots of volunteers. And look, for people who are not familiar with rallying, and I don't want to be Captain Obvious, but rallying consists of driving a stretch of road in the fastest time. So you're not necessarily racing against other competitors. Your competitor is the road. So if you drive that stretch of road better than anybody else does, quicker than everybody else does, you win. Now those stretches of road are called special stages, and they are closed to the public. It has to be enacted by the state government to close the roads, and then it's implemented by the state police. So you might do a stage that's, for instance, the Eagle on the Hill, 3.5 kilometres long, starts off tight, the end is quite flowing and fast, and then you get to the end of the stage and you've reached the end of that special stage, your time is recorded, and you're back on to what is called a transport stage or a liaison stage, and you observe all the normal road rules. So if people ask, how can you do 30 of those stages, they are connected by all our major roads, and the drivers, all of them, have to observe all the normal speed limits and road rules and regulations. And in fact, if they don't, they're reprimanded very heavily, even fined. So that's how a rally works, and that's why these guys today are enjoying the safety of driving closed stretches of road, able to get all their lines right through the corners without threatening the safety of other drivers. That's what makes rallying different to circuit racing. There's a saying that the circuit driver will pass one corner 1,000 times, and the rally driver will pass 1,000 corners once. Back to you, Dan.
Yeah, there's a road book that each car is given before the event, and that's what the navigator will have alongside them. It's not only for the stages, but also to get you from stage to stage as well, so you don't get lost. Although I saw just a second ago an Alfa Romeo came from the wrong road, but it should, in theory, make sure nobody gets lost. Every single road instruction is written in that road book all the way through the weekend. Really, really well designed book it is. Very clear instructions as well. We can see a volunteer official about to let tour leader 14 roar up the hill. That's Chris Morrison behind the wheel of his C63. Of course, the C63, such a popular addition to the Mercedes range a few years ago. A really, really nice piece of equipment. One of my favourite cars in the Mercedes range, that's for certain. Really, really nice car. Of course, the E63 raced in supercars for a number of years with Erebus Motorsport and had a little bit of success, a win for Lee Holdsworth and for Will Davison as well, if I recall. But yeah, Lee Holdsworth anyway, I certainly remember taking a race victory, a memorable one. Of course, Erebus fighting for a title now in the Chevrolet Camaro with Brodie Kostecki. Will he take his first Supercars Championship next weekend on the streets of Adelaide? We will find out. But there we go, roaring up the hill is that C63 driven by Chris, and it really is roaring up the hill. He's certainly put the pedal to the metal early on in this first stage. Flying up the hill, as we can see through the fast right. A bit of a double apex one, then you've got to get it slowed down, as you can see from the drone footage, for that tight left-hander, and then it switches back to the right. It really is a great piece of road. So we've got the, oh, bit of a knock there of the cone. Couldn't quite see who that was. Somebody in Mercedes, I can tell you that much. But yeah, clipping the cone on the way through the slow chicane that starts off the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. If you are just joining us, welcome to the live stream. This is, yes, the Shannon's Adelaide Rally, day number 1, stage number 1. Beaumont just at the bottom of the Adelaide Hills, and this is a descent all the way from the bottom to the top of the stage. I'm Dan McCarthy, and with me on this live stream is Nick Lenthal. He's down there chatting to a few of the drivers. Great to see some fans watching on as well. They're just at the start of the stage. Look at them all with their camp chairs. That's really cool to see. That is right at the start line. Can't get much closer, can you, than that. That's really cool to see. Quite a few people lining the stage, and I can see a few more that aren't on the camera shot as well, taking photos and chatting to some of the drivers just before they head into the stage as well. He's trying to find a bit of shade. It's glorious, glorious weather, as we can see. Yeah, I see a few people trying to take to the shade as the Mercedes Tour finishes. So yeah, around 25 degrees expected today, and much the same over the course of the weekend as well. So that was Mercedes glorious pieces of equipment, German made. And now we move on to more German made machines, onto the BMW and Mini Tour. 20 cars in Mercedes and 20 cars in BMW Mini as well. Mainly BMWs made up in this class, but there are a couple of Minis within the 20. And we can see that the first few in fact, are taking off up the hill. I hear that Nick is down there. He's found a couple of locals watching on, seeing the action.
Thanks, Dan. I'm down here with some hardcore rally spectators, Mitch, Neil and Toby. Neil is actually a local resident. So the first thing I want to do is say thanks very much, Neil, for letting these guys use your local roads. How do you feel about it?
It's very handy. It's only 5 minutes walk down there from the house, so it's very good. I've watched bits of the rally over the years, sometimes further up in the hills, but I started doing this start here, so it's really good.
So you get free admission? Yeah. It's a great spectacle, and one that engages a whole lot of people along the circuit. Such is the nature of rallying that in Europe you can get up to 1 million people along the roadsides for a World Championship event. So let's just go to Toby. Toby, first time. What?
No, we actually went last year here because I remember it was like amazing thing. Like, what is this rally going on near our house? So yeah, it was quite amazing. Like sort of seeing all these different cars and stuff from all different makes and everything, just sort of blasting away.
It happened in Adelaide, couldn't it? To have a road this good 5 minutes from the city centre, and have the police and the local residents say, "Yeah, bring it on. We want to see those." Mitch, what's your favourite part about what you're seeing today?
I think just the variety of vehicles that come through. I think Adelaide has such a great car community, and it's just awesome to see all these cars come through. You only get to have this, you get to see this every day. So yeah, it's awesome.
So you guys, as a group, do you come along to see these high-flying supercars, which most of us can't even afford, or do you come for the purely competition aspect to see the guys who are going to have a red-hot go?
It's a bit of both. I mean, mostly now, when the rally started years ago, it was mostly competition cars. Now it's more touring cars. So, but it's great to see these cars, have a bit of a rev and give them a bit of a go. You don't always see them, see the odd one or two around the city. But it's great when you do see the real competition cars, because then you see them push it a bit.
And look, it's a mixture of both. Having been a part of the competition field myself many times, it's something that you really look forward to in Rally Week, and in fact all year. But it's also an opportunity for all of us to get to see these incredible motor cars that are around today. Even if you do have Zagami's dealership just down the road to test you every day as you drive past. But it's a great way for these guys to get out and enjoy their cars, and for the local people to get out and see them as entertainment. What do you reckon, Dan?
Absolutely agree with you. And we can see the last of the BMW, taking to the stage. And now we've got the Porsches lined up. That's Vic Moore, who's taking off first. Vic has done a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure all these Porsches are out here. He's the president of the Porsche Club and does a magnificent job. He really does, and he's quite a handy steerer as well, and he has the privilege of leading all of these flat six Porsches up the hill. They sound absolutely fantastic. Hair standing up on the back of my neck. Really, really cool. All years, of course. For some people, not such a fan of Porsches, but they, for me and for many, many people, they are an iconic car. And each year they just change ever so slightly, get faster, look slightly different, more aerodynamic, and improve year on year. And they really do have a cult following, that's for sure. There's a bit of an older spec Porsche heading up the hill there. But there's a couple in this, there we go, we can see them both together. That second one, I believe, is the 312 machine of Vince Macri, who's at the wheel of his 1974 Porsche 911 Carrera. Here is the tour leader 16. Brad absolutely lighting it up at the start of the stage, flat through that chicane, not holding back is Brad Trenwith in his Porsche 911. That's the GT2. Of course, there's GT3, GT2. But yeah, that was the GT2 that we saw take up the hill. Sounds awesome. I love that corner, that fast right into the very, very slow left. It's a really nice bit of road further up this hill. So we can see the raw way, head through the S's around the, you could almost call it a cliff, over to the left hand side of their view, our right hand side of the camera shot. And they make their way, and as we say, the stage gets tighter and tighter as they go. You can see another drone angle, look at that, the 90 degree, no, almost 180 degrees, what I'm trying to say, hairpin up the hill. There's some iconic shots of that as they roar up the hill over the years, so it's a really great shot to take photos. Professional photographers always take to that piece of road, that hairpin. Often they cock up a wheel as they roar around to the right. We can see already there's a couple of Hyundais now taken to the stage. It's a little tour, this one, but the Hyundai Tour, a very welcome addition. Nick, you're down there with these Hyundais.
Dan, I'm down here. I'm surrounded by this sea of lilac, and there's probably a Hyundai factory name for that colour, which I reckon you would probably know. But just such a totally different colour for a race team colour, that lilac, and it's used on their rally cars the world over. It's become a welcome addition to colours like German racing silver, Ferrari red, Bugatti blue. It's a really modern take on having a factory race team colour.
Yeah, it certainly is, and as you say, it's an iconic colour now for Hyundai, as you say, in rallying, but also in World Touring cars as well. Of course, we saw the World TCR come to Sydney Motorsport Park and Bathurst in the last couple of weeks, and those Hyundais are aligned with those colours. You know, it's an iconic colour now for the Hyundai brand, and over the years, Hyundai, you know, when they first entered the motoring market, almost as an entry level, but their end products now are real sports cars. They really are really nice pieces of machinery, and certainly something I'd be interested in buying as a hot hatch enthusiast. The i20 and the i30 are awesome pieces of machine, and such good value for money as well. That's what makes really does make the Hyundai brand really now their end products. We can see next on our list is the main tour. So the main tour, part of the Adelaide Rally. As always, this is an eclectic mix, so it's not with a certain club. So we've seen Mercedes come through, BMW come through, Zagami. I know they're not a particular brand, but they are a club, a group. But this is just general people wanting to take part in the Adelaide Rally. bringing whatever they have as their road car and driving it up the stages. I think it's such a brilliant part of the rally that you are able to do that. So these are people's very machines making their way, up the hill, and it means we've got such an eclectic mix of machines in the main tour. It's one of our biggest groups as well, 33 cars in the main tour. Anything from Lotuses to Maseratis, Fords, Nissans, Lambos, Alphas, and everything in between. It really is a bit of everything. You can see a 944 going up the hill, followed by a Evo Lancer. There's a Mustang. So yeah, real mix. These guys taking it a little easy. Of course, their own motor vehicles. They don't want to go too hard on them. That's for certain. That's Tour Leader 7. That's Peter Mayer behind the wheel, having a chat with one of the officials. You can see the main tour don't have helmets. You can see their faces. The competition classes that are against the clock, they of course compulsory have to wear helmets and overalls and the rest. But yes, in this particular, in the tours anyway, helmets are not compulsory. So you are restricted to a certain speed. And we can see Peter Mayer now heading up the hill in his Cayman S. I can see a little bit further down the train the three-wheeler, the Morgan three-wheeler. That's driven by Warren Foreman. It's an iconic car. That's just a few cars away. I'm sure we'll be getting some shots of that over the weekend. He's only just a couple of cars behind a Nissan GTR. Can you find two more different cars? A high-tech Nissan GTR and a Morgan three-wheeler. Quite remarkable. How good does that sound, roaring up the hill? So there's the Nissan GTR, roaring through that first chicane. And then, now, there it is, the Morgan three-wheeler. It's certainly going to be shot a few times, I reckon, this over the weekend. Many photos are going to be taken of this particular car, not only from our live stream footage, but photographers and even the general public as well. So yeah, it's really cool to see something quite unique entered into the event this year. If you want to get up close and personal, you can. There's some spectator stages. There's at least one per day. Mount Lofty, I believe, is one of them. Of course, the iconic roar up Windy Point, the Windy Point hill climb stage. Then, of course, we've got the new Strathalbyn stage as well. There's the stage that links Stirling to Aldgate, the Wairoa stage as well. So make sure you check them out. Head to the Adelaide Rally website for all information such as spectator points, best vantage points to watch the racing, the rallying from. So make sure you head there to adelaiderally.com.au for all the information. But yeah, there's the Gucha Street Party tomorrow night. That's moved from Friday night to Saturday night this year. So make sure, if you want to see all the cars up close in a sort of party atmosphere, head to the Gucha Street Party tomorrow evening to see all of these cars up close and personal, and even chat to some of the drivers as well if you'd like to. There's a really nice lunch stop at Bridgewater as well. Make sure you head there as well if you can't make it to Gucha Street. As I say, we've got the Wairoa spectator stage and the Strathalbyn lunch stop and town stage as well. Of course, the local Strathalbyn council, Strathalbyn within the council, have really got behind that new addition, that new stage, and there will be the legendary duck race as well that is around Strathalbyn. Nick, I believe you've got some comments on that.
Oh, look, I'm reserving my comments about the duck race until we get there because I might get some inside information from the pump. I just wanted to add that, like you said, if you want to go and get mingle with the drivers, you can go to the Bridgewater Open between 9:30 and 5:30, and the Foxfield. Oh, sorry, let me just correct myself. 9:30 and 5:30, and 11 o'clock and 3:30 at Foxfield Open is just off Montacute Road at Athelston. So there's a couple of spots if you want to see the cars up close, and you can actually, stick your head under the bonnet, inside full, see what they look like, chat with the driver. Even if you want to find out the inside knowledge on getting involved in the sport, then there'll be plenty of guys who'd be only too happy to have a chat.
Yeah, just you're losing you a little bit there, Nick. I think you're a bit far away. Come a bit closer so we can hear you a bit clearer. We could hear most of what you were saying. But yeah, just a couple of words we were missing there. But we can see now Spirit Tour. I can see a few Spirit Tour cars anyway. They're all preparing, getting their helmets on. We've got a couple more main tour vehicles first though. But yeah, Spirit Tour requires a helmet. They go a little bit faster.
Sorry about that, Dan.
But can go that bit faster.
Just to recap on that, Bridgewater Oval a couple of times today, and Foxfield Oval a couple of times today as well. And you can get those times off the website, so that way you won't have to worry about my crackly audio. I was just trying to keep my steps up, Dan.
Oh, you'll be doing that this weekend, that's for sure, Nick. You'll certainly be doing that. Yeah, we could hear you a lot more clearly there. That's really good information. Thanks very much for that, Nick. So yes, make sure you head down to those locations if you want to see these glorious machines up close and personal. See a nice old Mercedes lined up on the grid, Nick. Are you going to have a word with them?
Well, I was going to, but they're going to leave. Ray, have a good day, mate.
There goes Ray. I believe that's the oldest car in the rally this year, the number 283 machine. Yeah, driven by Ray Eastwood, his co-driver Peter Mander. 1957 Mercedes 220 SL, and probably one of the most expensive cars here as well. I mean, yeah, we've got Ferraris and Lamborghinis and the like, but that car, nearly 70 years old now, is it's certainly an expensive machine, isn't it, Nick?
It is, and I might add that it's a veteran of many Adelaide rallies. I think it has done most of them, probably over a period of more than 20 years. So it's a beautiful thing to see it. And there were a few years where the Mercedes Museum sent a car out and a driver to do the event with an even more prestigious car from the museum. They've been great supporters of the event, Mercedes. And it's good to see Ray Eastwood, who of course, was the dealer principal of BEA Mercedes some years ago. And he's now happily retired and punting his 220 through the hills.
Yes, awesome way to spend retirement, I think. Anyway, really cool. Yeah, I spoke to Ray a few weeks ago, and he said, yeah, I've been involved in most of these Shens Adelaide rallies. I think he is probably the most experienced person, or very close to the most experienced person here this weekend, and Nick's managed to grab him.
Ray Eastwood, associated with Mercedes, not only in piloting this car, but also in the sales side of it. Tell us a bit about it.
I worked for the dealer who was originally, of course, BEA Motors, and we later changed the name to Mercedes Adelaide, which it is now. But I was there 50 years, yes. I went from a youngster and worked my way up to the top, and years before I retired, yeah.
So that passion for Mercedes, that association, goes not only to the dealership side of it, but also to your passion for the cars themselves. Are you a bit of a collector?
Could be considered a collector. I have a few cars, including a couple of gull wings. So I've got some rare cars, including this one, of course. This is a very rare car.
This is a very rare car, but I know that you've punted it in many, many Classic Adelaides and Adelaide Rallies and Targa Adelaides. Tell us a bit about this particular car.
Well, I have owned it since 1973, and it found its way here via Hong Kong. It was entered in the Macau Grand Prix in just on the other side of the bay there at Hong Kong, and it was brought to Adelaide in 1960. And we, as a dealer then, 190 SLs were very hard to obtain, so we bought the car off the street. And unfortunately, we didn't keep any records who the seller was. But anyway, it went to a Pulteney Grammar school master there who had it till I bought it from him in '73 in a non-going. It wasn't going when I bought it.
So this was a big restoration for you, or just a few odds and sods?
When I got the car home, I realised that, well, I needed a new cylinder head, so I bought a new cylinder head and put it on. So the car was usable, and I did use it, but quite a number of years later, I fully restored. That, in fact, is 16 years ago. This is its 16th consecutive event, non-stop.
We were just chatting before you arrived here about Moss in the Millimilia in the 300 SLR, and what an epic drive that was. What are your thoughts on that ridiculous average speed?
Look, that was Moss, wasn't it? He only knew one speed, and he was good at it. He managed to have a few accidents along the way, but he was very fast.
The accidents that you have that you can get away from are the best kind of accident, and then you can go on and win the event. And in that event, Dennis Jenkinson also was really the father of pace notes, because on his little pianola roll on the dash, he had all the notes for the corners written down, and that really was the forerunner of the kind of notes that we use today.
Well, that's exactly right. In fact, he used what was an aviation mapping device where he could scroll on the route, and he'd call the route to Moss, and Moss had implicit faith that if it was flat out, well, Moss went flat out, and very successfully. But Dennis Jenkinson was an interesting fellow as well. Yeah.
I think the story didn't actually get out of the car at all for the entire 12 hours. He just, I think a little bit of fruit he munched on, and they fueled it up and off went again.
You know the amazing part about that 1955 millimeter, 56, whichever, was that the other racing driver in their team, I've lost his name for a moment. He drove a lot. He drove an SLR as well. Fangio. He drove a 300 SLR on his own, and he was only a matter of minutes behind Moss. So
These guys were absolute heroes, and I remember back to, I think the first or second Adelaide Grand Prix when we had Moss, Fangio, Surtees? No, Brabham, Hill, all in the same room at the same time.
a phenomenal get-together there. And yes, and some of them came back well, Fangio came back twice, but Moss was a reasonably regular visitor. As long as you paid him, he came.
Well, that's understandable. Guys, have a great day. It's a beautiful weather that we've turned on for you. It's just an awesome car, and we love seeing it out every year. Enjoy yourselves.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Nick. I believe we've just got a bit of a recovery going on at the moment. Somebody's had a spin up the hill, so that's why Ray was set to go, and then he's been held. So we're just got a slight delay at this particular moment in time. Ray is reversing his way back down the hill, so we hope to get back underway very shortly. But we can see all these cars lined up on the grid ahead of the recommencement of stage number 1 of the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. Fans still aligned the side of the road to enjoy all the action, and we can see them there. Here we go, we're getting a couple of cars going up the hill once again, which is good news. So I think the car has literally been towed away and we are back underway, which is really quick, swift recovery there. As we see Ray make his way up the hill, there he is in that 220 SL from 1957. Quite remarkable time when they just pulled out of Formula One, doing so in 1956, I believe it was. You can see that tricky little chicane. Of course, it's been knocked by a couple of cars already in this opening stage. And I'm sure the competition cars will be cutting it very fine, sliding their way through the chicane, trying to lose as little time as possible. But of course, this stage, not timed for the competition cars. It's a bit of a precursor to the rest of the event. And away goes the Mitsubishi Tour Leader. Looking set to get the Spirit Tour underway now. So these guys are required to wear helmets. They're going that bit quicker than the main tour. So it's first of the classes that require a helmet. Getting a little bit more serious now. This is the fastest of the tours that aren't timed. So from there we've got TSD, Challenge, and then the outright competition class just after that. Again, this is an eclectic mix of vehicles. Again, it's bring what you own. And these days, there's a lot of Porsches, a lot of Evos, and then quite a few hot hatches as well. So Yaris's, Corollas, Focuses, etc. There we can see STL.
One of the cars that I want to catch up with during the event, Dan, is the Toyota Corolla GR. 1.6 litre 3-cylinder turbo with 220 kilowatts.
Yeah, really nice piece of equipment. That one, of course, we've seen the GR Yaris, but of course very recently was the release of the GR Corolla, as you say. I haven't seen that in the flesh myself. A very, very new piece of equipment. I don't think that's the right word to describe a car with such manufacturing history. Yeah, the Corolla has been around for so many years, but to have a Gazoo Racing, a GR Corolla, is something really cool, and a great new addition, a new car to the Adelaide Rally this year. This is not a new car, it's certainly a familiar car to many of you. A 90s Ferrari. That's Mark Hoffman behind the wheel with his 355 Challenge. It makes a glorious noise, one of the best sounding cars still to this day, I believe. I love the Ferraris of this era, the noises that they made. And it looks like Nick's down there. Yeah, Nick, fire away.
Dan, I'm just down here with my favourite Ferrari, and it's red, with Mark, and just going to talk to him about how he's feeling about what's coming up today. Mark, welcome along.
Thank you. We're going to try not to be stupid and run off the road.
This is not your first Adelaide rally. How many have you done?
Oh God, it started way back in the day when it was the classic Adelaide. Yeah.
And look, there's some fast flowing stages. There's some much tighter ones, much more technical. What are the stages you enjoy the most?
Probably the technical. Not that this car's made for that sort of driving, I should say, but that's you can actually test yourself on that.
Well, today we're going to do Norton Summit, and I think we also do Cherryville, is that right? Yeah. There's some really technical stuff there, stuff that you can get your teeth into.
Yes, with no traction control and no assist, so it's all a good challenge.
Mate, welcome along, and we hope you have a fantastic day, and keep it on the black stuff.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Great chat down there with Mark Hoffman. Thanks very much, Nick Lenthal, for that. Yeah, you sort of made a bit of a point there. Cherryville, that's to come. So we've got Beaumont here. We've spoken a bit about Eagle on the Hill. After that is the first run of Cleland, and then it's Cherryville. And then we've got Norton Summit a little bit later on this afternoon. That's where we're headed for the next live stream stage. Not once, but twice. We've got 2 runs of the iconic and legendary Norton Summit stage, 5.5 kilometres in length. Make sure you tune in later on this afternoon for that one. It should be a good bit of racing action, rallying action up the hill, that is for certain. As we can see, the BMW on the start line, ready to go and commence the Spirit Tour. You can see the greenery that is the Adelaide Hills, that surrounds, of course, the Adelaide Hills. It's just such a glorious piece of Australia. It really is. There's some obviously iconic landmarks in Australia. You think of the Great Barrier Reef, and then you got the Sydney Opera House, the Sydney Harbour Bridge, of course. But of course, Adelaide known for its wine regions. The Barossa, of course, the most famous of those, but also McLaren Vale as well. But yeah, there's some glorious locations in Adelaide, and if you're a car enthusiast, there's very few better roads than the Adelaide Hills, that's for certain. And yeah, as I say, 29 of the very best stages that Adelaide has to offer, and we could even do more than that if we were given a few more days. But 3 days, of course, today, the first day of action, and then tomorrow and Sunday as well. So 3 jam-packed days. Who is going to be the winner come the end in the competition class? We've got 20 comp cars, but before that we can see the start of the Spirit Tour. There's a Mitsubishi Lancer there that's not quite ready, I don't think, but the tour leader has made his way up the stage. It looks like the Lancer is pretty much ready to go now, and is away. Great 0 to 60 time from the all-wheel drive Lancer. All all-wheel drive cars accelerate so well off the line. I always think back to British touring cars where you had some front-wheel drive cars and you got the all-wheel drive cars, and it was always the rear-wheel drive cars that would make the better start. But yeah, all-wheel drives always take off well. That's always been a fact of life, and here it is. I'll let you listen to this Ferrari take off. It's quite a tough little start line, that one. It's a little bit of a rise, so the car wants to roll backwards on you as you come off the clutch, which this car will certainly have a clutch. Some people don't even know what that is these days in their sequential flappy paddle gearboxed machines, but yeah, very tricky start line, just as you can see. Oh no, we'll just change cameras there, but yes, you see the car hurtle through that tight section, of course, but yeah, the car wants to roll back on you and you've got to try and keep forward momentum going. But you don't, of course, want to be moving, because then you'll be given a penalty. So you want to just keep the car stopped, not have it roll back, or else you'll bog down badly or burst into wheel spin. If the car's moving backwards, it's very, very hard to get the car underway. Nick, I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, but yeah, it's a bit of a tricky start point with that bit of elevation straight off the line. No, not sure he can hear me at the moment. That's all good. We'll look at the cars heading up the hill. So up next, you see the little Yaris and 402 machine. So these aren't editor like we've seen some of the other categories. 402. That's Dan Beck behind the wheel of his 1971 Mazda RX-2, which is indeed a Mazda RX-2. That's pretty cool to see. But right now we're looking at the Yaris going up the hill. That's number 401, Wheeler Welsh. On the wheel of the GR Yaris 2021. It's been around a number of years now. The GR Yaris has been dominating WRC competition in recent years with Kalarov and Pera, and even Sebastian Ogier as well before that. It's been a dominant force in rallying in recent years as the little Gazoo Yaris. But this is something completely different. That's the RX-2 taking to the Beaumont stage. It's 50 years old now, this car. But really cool to see it here at the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. And here is another Gazoo Yaris taking to the hill. And taking to it at quite some speed as well. Just as I say that, completely comes off the throttle and takes his time on the next section of the course. That's cool. On the rev limiter, roaring away. A ferocious start for the Ford Focus ST. How good did that sound? That sounded fantastic as we roared on the rev limiter and heads down towards the tight section of this particular stage. That was the 433 machine of Daniel Andrews. No, I should say that is not the former Victorian President Daniel Andrews, but a different one. Rallying enthusiast is Daniel. Great to have him here this weekend as we see the Black Lancer head up the hill. The 413 machine. Now, according to me, 413 is a BMW 335i, so I think I've misread that number a little bit. It's a little bit more tricky when they're not in numerical order. You can see another GR Yaris going up the hill. That's Ryan Shook. And now we've got an Audi. That's got to be one of the fastest accelerating cars, or we've got some faster accelerating cars, but not pushed to that degree. That's the fastest start I think we've seen so far today. And again, putting the pedal to the metal on the next straight bit of road. certainly hurtling, certainly pulling some speed. That is for certain. Now this car looks good, certainly sounds the part, certainly looks the part. That's the 420 machine of Jared McGavin in his 2006 Subaru WRX Pretzel Wagon. Very cool to see that here this weekend. Of course, Subaru iconic in rallying. The Impreza, of course, made famous by Colin McRae, the legendary Scottish rally driver, winning the championship way back now in 1995. But that was one of the most, him driving a blue Subaru sideways is what the whole brand almost has been formed on. It's a remarkable thing. And rallying still going. The World Rally Championship probably not in its glory days just at the moment. There's still 3 manufacturers involved. You've got Toyota driving the Gazoo Yaris's, you've got Hyundai with the i20, and then you've also got Ford with the Ford Puma these days. They've changed in recent years and gone for the Ford Puma. Yeah, these days it's really fought between Hyundai and Toyota. With Toyota coming out on top in many of the recent years. Here's another Impreza at the start line. As I say, it's rallying, it's Subaru. You think of the late, great Colin McRae. Of course, Colin's brother, Alistair McRae, came to the Adelaide Motorsport Festival and drove the very car that Colin won the 1995 championship with at the Adelaide Motorsport Festival. I think that was back in 2018. That was an iconic moment. He was alongside Craig Lowndes in the car. It was really, really cool. Great to see Alistair back at the Motorsport Festival at some point. He's a real character, both the McRaes, whole McRae family. Of course, their father, a great rally driver himself in Britain, a multiple-time British rally champion. As you see, the Toyota 86, big spoiler on the tail of that machine. That will be producing some downforce, that's for certain, as he roars up the hill. But of course, with downforce, the faster you go, the more downforce you create.
That was Jimmy McRae, Dan, the father of Colin and Alistair.
Another Subaru Impreza. There's quite a few in this Spirit Tour, isn't there? This is the 436 machine of Diano Dalla Valle and co-driver Jake Dalla Valle. So 2 of them heading up the hill. 2003 Subaru WRX, of course. Peter Solberg won the last Subaru World Championship in 2003 in WRC. Now this is new. This is the brand new Honda Civic taking to the hill. I've not actually still, it just came past my commentary window. So really cool to see this on the road. So yes, this is a brand new 2023 Honda Civic Type R. Really cool to have that as part of the rally this year. Of course, Honda in the World Touring Car Series, World TCR World Tour as it's called these days. Tony D'Alberto debuting that a few weeks ago, the brand new Honda Civic in TCR World Tour, and did not too badly at Bathurst as well, taking a pole position from memory. Subaru wagon now going up the hill. I can't quite see what that is on the roof of that machine. But we are not too far away from the big classes, the timed classes. Spirit Tour continues to go through. We've got a Mustang, and in a couple of cars we've got a Camaro, which is really showing what supercars has become in recent years, or recent year, this year of course. Now it's just Ford and Chevrolet, with Holden departing famously last year, with Brock Feeney taking the last win for the Holden brand in the Supercars Championship. As the Mustang takes that left-hander, flicks it round to the right. I reckon that right would be pretty much flat out as you come out of the tight left and then roar towards that awkward looking left-hander. I think that gets tighter as it goes around. Nick could have quite a good idea of that. BMW taking to the hill now, gathering momentum, really dips to the inside of that corner and then into the hard braking zone, the left-hander, and then flick it back to the right. Awesome piece of tarmac. See there, the 439 machine. Then Old at the wheel of that one, alongside Lucy Barker. It's a 2010 spec Porsche 997-2 GT3 CS. The longer the name is, the faster it is generally with Porsches. So 997.2, so faster of course than the 0.1. Then it's a GT3, which is faster than the standard 911, and then CS as well. So yeah, really cool to see. Nick, I believe you're down there ready and waiting.
Dan, I am. I'm just down here with WRX Subaru that is in the colours that are very reminiscent of Colin. Just going to have a quick chat. Guys, welcome to the... This is your first Adelaide Rally?
No, second time. Yeah.
What are you looking forward to most today? What stages that really do it for you?
Probably Cherryville, just going down Corkscrew. One of the best parts of the whole rally, I reckon. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
What about Eagle on the Hill? It's only a few minutes away. That's you're probably going to light this thing up the Eagle on the Hill?
Yeah, it's a bit of a shakedown, this one, with cars been in pieces last weekend, so put it all back together and we'll see how it holds.
Gee, I didn't think that ever happened in rallying, that people finished their car the night before.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. Yeah, I'm happy enough to get it done. We just finished it this morning, actually, getting it all back. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Well, in history, I think an awkward build-up to an event usually augurs for a very good event on the day. Nothing will go wrong.
Thank you.
Wish you all the very best, guys.
Thanks very much for that, Nick. Talking to Nick in car number 414. And the co-driver of that is actually Ali Pullman, who's part of the Adelaide Rally team. She was working behind the scenes to make sure this event was possible. So thanks very much to her and the whole team at the Adelaide Rally offices that do so much work to get this event to happen. Sean Bennett, Jake Alger, and then of course Tim Possingham, the owner of the rally. It's a great team at work down there on Hutt Street that put together this glorious event. Look at this Chevrolet Camaro take to the hill and use the brakes for that tight little chicane. Sounds glorious, the big roaring V8 motor. Of course, not only raced Chevrolet Camaros in supercars, but as well in... I can't hear myself. There's a very loud machine taking up the hill. It's a old Porsche. I'm sure we'll see that in a few moments' time. There it is on the screen now. That sounds absolutely fantastic. As it takes to the hill. There is the 414 machine with Nick Jordan behind the wheel, who we spoke to just before through that one. And it looks fantastic roaring up the hill. Here is the Ford Mustang with the iconic blue stripes just behind it. See there a little, I think that's a restaurant on the outside of the course. Now this is something a little bit different, isn't it? We haven't seen anything like this take to the stage so far. today. This is the 432 machine. It's an Austin Healey BN4. I said before that Mercedes was the oldest car. This is the joint oldest car, both made in 1957. You want another Impreza? We can give you another Subaru Impreza as it takes up the hill. The 428 car. Tom Berry alongside Harrison Pickard. STI RA. I'm not a Subaru geek, I'll be honest. I don't know all the different makes and models, or all the different iterations, I should say, of Subaru Imprezas, because there are a lot. I know that for a fact. The Mazda takes to the hill, taking things a little easy to start with. We're getting a little bit more serious now though. We have the first competition car on the line, ready to go.
With Declan, of course, South Australian Rally Champion in the South Australian Rally Championship on gravel. And if you're watching the news, you'll probably see Declan interviewed because he's part of the SA Fire Service.
There you go. Great support there. It's they do such a great job, don't they? CFS and everyone in that little community to keep everything safe from bushfires. I believe we've got a chat with Jack Monk.
We sure have, Dan. Down here with Jumping Jack Monkhouse, former winner of this. Had a pretty last weekend, the Legends of the Lake. And well,
very busy end of the year, which has been great. Fantastic support to enable that to happen. And yeah, just keen to get amazing Adelaide Road in the beautiful sunshine.
I know that a lot of the spectators look forward to your style, your rallying style. You've got a lot of bravado about you, and there's going to be a bit of slides, and there might be the occasional skid. How do you enjoy driving on track as compared to gravel?
Well, that's a tough one. Like gravel, I love the feeling of the car moving around everywhere, which isn't the best scenario for a fast tarmac time. So yeah, we try to keep it reasonably tidy on the tarmac and on the odd hairpin here and there, give it a bit of style and have some fun. I have done a fair bit of drifting in national competition and also in the state championship here at Mallala and stuff. So my younger brothers both did drifting. So yeah, we've done a few events with that, and I just love driving a car sideways, really.
Is there any other way? Jack, it's a real pleasure to have you out here, and I hope you and your co-driver have a fantastic few days.
No worries. Thanks for having us.
No, thank you, Jack. It's going to be really something to watch him take to these stages. He really does have an iconic driving style. So, we've seen the tours. Now we are on to the really serious stuff. The first of the competition cars. Jack Monkhouse in his Datsun. He's had that machine for so many years, and he still manages to produce some awesome results in it. It really is a very fast rally car. That takes to the stage. We're just getting the last of the officials just to make sure everything is ready to go, and then Monkhouse will take to the stage. Just behind that, we have Selly, who is a former winner as well.
I'm South Australia. And winner of this event as well, with Hamish McKendrick. Now, I'm going to try and get a word in, but I'm conscious of the fact that they might be just about ready to go. Morning, Matt. How are you going?
How are you? I love that hat. I'll have that after this event.
Hamish, how are you going? You ready to call some notes? It is perfect day. Matt, you've been a podium regular in this event. The stage you're probably looking forward to most today?
Oh, look, I think Cherryville is the signature stage of the event, but 20-something kilometres, that's the one we've got to put a bank a really good time on. Gives you a chance to get the tempo. Exactly. I'm really looking forward to it.
Cherryville being one of the most technical stages on the event. Lots and lots of corners, and I can tell you Hamish will be he will be breathless by the time he's called all the notes for that one, as they head down the corkscrew and get everything right. Fellas, it's a pleasure to have you here. Have a real good run.
Here we can see Jack Monkhouse head through the chicane and flick it right, flick it left around the cliff face and down into towards the tighter section of the course. Jack taking it very easy on this first stage. Of course, this one is not against the clock. For these guys, this is the warm-up stage. So people will have different approaches to it. Looks like Selly is certainly giving it a little bit more than Jack was as it pops its way up the hill. So this is just a little teaser for them, just a practice stage. Their first stage is stage number 2. So Eagle on the Hill, then we've got Cleland and Cherryville, which Matthew Selly alluded to is a crucial stage. The longest stage apart from that one is 7.5 kilometres, which is Mount Lofty, and that one Cherryville 19.4 kilometres, or very nearly 19.4 kilometres in length. So it really is a crucial stage in the rally, and they do it not once but twice as well. So yeah, make sure if you are in the competition class that you do the best stuff in that stage, that's for sure. A real crucial one. Lots of time can be lost there, lots of time can be gained as well. The BMW, the Wearing combination, Cameron Wearing behind the wheel, Tanya Wearing alongside. So they weave their way through the chicane. You can see a lot of these competition cars on this opening stage. We say a practice stage for these cars, taking it easy. They're just making sure their brakes are bedded in, everything, all the systems are working correctly. There's no point making a fool of yourself in stage number 1, particularly when it's not timed. So take it easy, make sure everything's working right, you're comfortable in the car, you're happy with how the pace notes are being read. All of those things, all the 1%ers need to be right for the remaining 28 stages on the rally. It's yeah, very crucial, this prologue I suppose you'd call it for these guys. You can see the Nissan heading up the hill in the iconic late 80s livery that was made famous by Glenn Seaton and George Fury in supercars. Well, back then of course V8, the Australian Touring Car Championship of course back then, running to Group A specification regulations. See a Toyota going up the hill. They really are taking it easy, some of these guys. Probably don't want to use too much goodness out of the tyres either, but on a 1 kilometre stage I'm not sure you'd take much goodness out of them. That's yeah, such a short stage, I don't think that'll make much difference. But as I say, you can only make yourself look a fool on a stage like this, a non-timed stage for this particular class of car. 713 machine though, he's lighting it up. And away goes Aaron Steer through the chicane, through the fast S section. He's certainly pushing a bit more than some of the cars we've seen recently, alongside Mark Lauke, a driver in his own right, of course. Mark Lauke in the Australian Prototype Series. Machine of Stephen Campbell and Alexander Brown in their E36. Here's something a bit different. Peter Bogatek in his Peugeot. That's a 405 MI16. Of course, Peugeot did have a little bit of a it's got a bit of history in rallying as well. I think Marcus Gronholm won a couple of titles for Peugeot in the early noughties, 2000, 2002 off the top of my head. Please don't correct me if I'm wrong. And we can see the cars continue to stream through. Many of these comp cars making it a bit easy to start with, although that's a pretty ferocious start. As he roars away from the line, that's another Evo, of course. For many years it was the Evo Subaru battle, Evo versus Impreza, Mitsubishi against Subaru, and it was a really well fought battle for many years. And I say Peugeot was in there at that time as well. That's got to be one of the loudest cars we've had take off from the line so far. But as soon as he's gone into second and third gears, he's buttoned off. A lot of them are really trying a good practice start and then just taking it easy for the rest of the stage. Andrew Lucas there on the wheel of his Nissan S14. Nick, it looks like you're down there with the number 714. That's Pete behind
Dan,
the wheel.
I'm down here with something very close to my heart, a Ford Escort. Welcome to the rally, guys. Is this your first one?
It is, yeah. Good car, it's an old gravel car that's come out for first tarmac.
I'm conscious of not holding you guys up, and you've only got a few seconds. I'll let you get belted up, and we will chat later today.
Sorry.
These cars all taking off in 1 minute intervals. So yes, I can hear the one before him has just taken off. So he's only got 1 minute before he will take off himself. Sorry, 30 seconds, not 1 minute, 30 seconds. And there is a little Polo taking up the hill. Polo GTI, I should specify. Of course, you've got the Golf GTI, you've got the Polo GTI. Of course, the Scirocco, a great addition to the Volkswagen range these days. How good does that Escort look? Taking to the hill. It is Pete Shuey alongside Chris Shuey. Up next we've got Robert Brocklebank in his Corolla. They did pretty well last year, stayed out of trouble, put in some great results and finished pretty nicely at the end of the rally. Yeah, he'll be looking to replicate that again in 2023. Of course, a bit of an old school tribute looking livery as well. Will Coulter takes to the stage in his Toyota Sprinter. And again, a pretty ferocious start, but again, buttons off as they head up the hill. It should almost be used as a tyre warm-up stage, really, just to get ready for Eagle on the Hill, which is only a couple of 100 metres from the end of this one. You can see a few fans there on the outside of that is the first chicane, as you see the Porsche roar through there. And not too many cars left now in competition. That's Zach Hedge behind the wheel of the 85 Porsche 911. Doesn't it look glorious with the pink look on the top of the bonnet and over the roof? It's a really nicely presented machine. So we move from outright competition to challenge. So these guys don't quite drive at the same pace. But nevertheless, it's a great category to get involved in. A little Ford Laser works its way through the stage. So Challenge is very much prepared and ready to go. We've got the tour leader at the head of the pack, and then we've got a large variety of vehicles, escorts and the like behind. Citroen C4, really nicely presented car, that one. Look forward to seeing how that goes up the hill. As we can hear the course car head up there with all the sounds, the sirens and all the noises that go with it. That's got to be nearly a K up the hill, and I can still hear it through my headphones, which is quite remarkable. Very loud sirens going up the hill. And here it is, the first of the Challenge cars. Dean Cook alongside Sean Bennett in their 71 Escort twin cam. Iconic looking machine. Of course, Escort, such a popular car in the 70s. And did well not only in rallying but also circuit racing, in touring car racing. Particularly in Britain, the Escort did very, very well. But yes, also made its name in rallying, the early years of WRC. And then behind that we have the Citroen C4. We've got another blue Impreza behind that, the 603 machine. There's a fair few different machines in this one. Looking forward to seeing who's going to set the pace in Challenge this year. It's a really good field of cars. Might not be the biggest in terms of size, but it's got really good competition, a really good field. So it's going to be a really exciting category to watch out for throughout the rally. Listen to that Escort, and away goes Dean Cook in the 601 machine. He takes his way up the hill, Dean Cook, not pushing 110%, as we say in this particular stage. You'll only be a fool if you do that on a non-timed stage. Same with Comp and Challenge and TSD as well. They are not timed on this particular stage. As we can see the Citroen C4 approaching us. It looks like Nick is down there once again with yet another competitor.
Now, you know I'm a sucker for a good classic car, and an E30 BMW is one of the best. Down here with John Connolly and Michael McMichael, both BMW tragics. Welcome back, fellas. I know this is not your first rodeo.
It's past our first rodeo. In fact, my father here, I think it's about his 28th.
Yeah, Michael's really getting on in years.
Yeah, he is, yeah. So,
What stages are you looking forward to today, guys?
that doesn't have corners. See ya.
Have a good one.
He's been called away, and fair enough, he's about to take off onto the stage. He's got 30, or a bit over 30 seconds. No, that's fair enough. He's got something else to think about, and that is the 1.1 kilometre stage just ahead of him. So cars continue to roll through on this opening stage. You can see the Mini heading up the hill at the moment in what is a good field, as I say, really high quality field of Challenge competitors. Who's going to come out on top? We can see there a shot of the speed sign, RSP. So cars have to slow down there to 60 kilometers an hour and tootle through there. And then when they get to the end of that speed sign, they can take off once again. I was unaware that there was one of those in this stage, but that's why everyone has been taking that section of course so slowly. So I think that's just a tester, just to make sure that everyone is doing that. I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute, because I believe Nick's down there with Roger Barato.
And in it, Roger Barato and Jeremy Brown. Jeremy, I don't know how many of these you've done, probably countless. What are you looking forward to today?
Looking forward to a good ride and a nice Italian thoroughbred.
Well, it might be a bit of a come down from a lunch here, but I guess you'll slum it for today.
I'm struggling to hear you, Nick.
That's okay, fellas. Have a good run.
Yeah, it's quite a loud machine, that of Roger Barato's. He'll very much enjoy this stage. That's a real character of the Adelaide Rally. You see the iconic livery that is adorning the side of it. And there's another iconic paint scheme. We've already touched on it, Subaru. But yes, just going back to that speed sign, so it's sort of like, I suppose you'd say, a virtual safety car type thing. So they can put them out for certain sections if they feel the cars need to slow down a bit more for it, just a 60 km/h section, and that's what they're roaring into pretty early on. So just making sure everyone slows down through that bit of road. So they go through these fast S's, and then it's just about, you can not quite see, it's just there, somewhere there, just to say it, guess what is not slowed down. Yes, you are meant to slow down through that 60 zone. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the live stream when we make our way to Norton Summit later on this afternoon. But for now, we will watch Roger take to the stage in his Fiat 131.
And just about to take off from the start, Dan, is Jai Raymond in a nice dry sumped Rover V8. Have a look at this. Music to my ears.
Yes, I think music to everyone's ears. Sounds absolutely fantastic, doesn't it, in the Texaco livery. I spoke to him last week at Scrutineering, and he was telling me it came out with 136 horsepower, and these days it's 350, nearly 400 horsepower. It's quite a beast these days, and that's why it sounds so good. It was built back in 2007 and ran in the 2007 Classic Adelaide. But yeah, he purchased it a couple of years later and has owned it ever since. Something different again, the 613 car. That's Peter Mathwin behind the wheel of an MGB GT V8, and I'm sure that Nick will be loving seeing an old MG take to the hill, that's for certain, and so am I. How cool is it that we can have some old classic cars take to the stages? I can see the first of the TSD runners getting ready on the start line. This is the Spry combination, Tony Spry and Lynette Spry in their Subaru WRX. Away goes the really nicely presented green Porsche. That's Bernie Stack, of course. Many of you may know that name, Bernie Stack, raced in Touring Car Masters in a Porsche that looked very much like this one for a number of years here in Touring Car Masters. Of course, John Bell racing his last weekend in Touring Car Masters, full time anyway. Next weekend at the Adelaide 500, the Australian touring car legend, two-time Bathurst winner John Bell wrapping up his full-time career in Touring Car Masters next weekend on the streets of Adelaide. But we can see the final challenge car make its way up the hill. And this is the course car before TSD takes to the stage. TSD back this year. TSD stands for time, speed, distance. It's effectively a regularity competition, I suppose you'd call it. It's all about trying to meet the time set at the end. You get a penalty for every second you are slower, and you lose 5 seconds for every second you are faster. So you're better off being slower than you are faster. That is for certain. TSD, great to have it back this year, and a reasonable field as well. It's a very popular category. If you don't want to just tootle around in a tour, TSD is a nice step up. You're trying to reach a target, trying to achieve a speed, and you're not just tootling around.
That's right. And look, you might think that that sounds a little bit pedestrian, working on average speeds, but I can tell you that this category is highly competitive, and the people in it swear by it. They love it. They don't want to do the other categories. They want to stay in TSD because it is very intense concentration for the co-driver. They're really calling the shots for the driver as to how quickly he's going to drive. And it's just one of those odd categories that has grown from regularity racing and sprinting. And like I said, the people in it swear by it.
They certainly do, and we've got a good field of 12 here this weekend. And it's going to be really hard to pick a winner, because not necessarily the fastest necessarily doesn't win, because if you are too fast, as we say, you get a 5-second penalty for every second you are faster than the target. So the fastest doesn't necessarily win, and it means it's a very open field for everyone.
That's right, and as I said, the people in this category are hardcore. In fact, I think the category, Tim brought the category back this year because of the demand. There were people saying, how many entrants would you need in TSD for you to include that as a class? And they then went about ferreting out the people to fill the ranks.
Oh, a lot of black smoke pluming from the tail of that Porsche as it put its foot down hard on the throttle. 502 machine. That Porsche looks absolutely glorious in that pale blue, and there's another pale blue car on the start line just behind as well. So that's Hamish Eaton heading up the hill there that we saw, and this is Graham Modra heading up the hill in his Escort, a car that of course you love so much.
Yes, I do. You're tugging at my heartstrings. Mine was a Mark II with the Forest Arches, but a Mark II with the bubble arches is a thing of beauty. Successfully rallied by the factory team for many years. In fact, I think there was a time when the Escort was the winningest car in rally. Won more events than anything. And in fact, I think 1981, when Ari Vatanen won the World Championship, he was up against four-wheel drive turbo Audi Quattros. So they really did stand the test of time. Ultimately, it was only a matter of them fading out while the four-wheel drive turbo cars took after. But they put up a good fight.
Well, they dominated. They really did dominate rallying for such a period. And even to take it, as you say, to the four-wheel drive machines as they did for a little bit as well, just shows how adaptable that car was. Being so nimble, it just suited so many of the World Rally stages, and yeah, it's an iconic car, and its period lasted for so long. It was over a decade where it was still winning races from the start to the end. It had such a long life, particularly as a rally car. Of course, with the evolution of rally cars, particularly in that four-wheel drive era, there was another car that came along that was better, and every couple of years you had an ever-evolving change of the guard. But the Escort was always around before that for many years.
That's right, Dan. And it's interesting that guys who have won the World Rally Championship in these very high-tech modern cars that we have now will have at home in the garage a Ford Escort. Jari-Matti Latvala, Mikko Hirvonen, Hayden Paddon also has punted an Escort in the Otago Rally in New Zealand. So even though they love the technological smarts of the modern rally car, they love the always sideways aspect of a Ford Escort on gravel.
Absolutely. Of course, no gravel here this weekend, or hopefully not. Hopefully they stick to the bitumen. A tarmac rally, solely a tarmac rally, is the Shannon's Adelaide Rally. If you're just tuning in to the live stream, welcome. This is stage number 1 of the weekend, the Beaumont stage. I'm Dan McCarthy, and alongside me is Nick Lenthal, who we are throwing into the driver's eyes. He's interviewing a few people throughout the weekend. We're keeping him busy. He's certainly racking up some Ks, that's for certain. His legs are hard at work. And here is another N product Hyundai, as we see take to the hill, closely followed by 511 Bill Latkins in his M2. Of course, for many years the M5 was the BMW M product of choice, but the M3's equally as iconic, and then these days the M6 and the M2 as well. The M4, that really is a vast range of M vehicles that they have, and depending on your budget and which car you like, you can take your pick really. These days there's so many M product BMWs to choose from. As we see the black Renault Megane take to the hill. I'm not sure if that's Chris Oldacre, but on the entry list it's written as blue, and I don't believe that's blue. But anyway, he is roaring up the hill. I don't see another Megane entered in TSD, so I assume that is him. And then for something completely different, a Holden Ute. How Aussie can you get? A big V8 Ute roaring up the hill. He's slowed down for that section, the slow section that is around there.
Now I remember at Rally Australia one year in Queensland that Shane Jacobson of movie fame was giving the Holden Ute a massive build-up on the start line for the Super Special stage. And he built it up so much that it blew its diff on the start line and had to be pushed away. So let's not build up too much for the Ute.
Hopefully it goes a little bit better than that this weekend. We're not too far away. This is the last of the the last of the TSD cars. And then we'll be on with Prima Tour. That there is Todd Hazelwood, Supercars driver, Supercars podium finisher, of course, racing for the Blanchard Racing Team. He's here this weekend, is Todd, in the Prima Tour, driving that awesome looking Porsche 911. Really cool to have Todd Hazelwood here this weekend. His stages that Todd Hazelwood will be doing. A local South Aussie, a proud South Aussie is Todd Hazelwood, so yeah, he loves this event, and he's taking up the hill in his yellow 911. As we can see the tour leader just ahead of him, there he is, Todd Hazelwood, Supercars podium finisher, as I say, racing for Blanchard, the Blanchard Racing Team, with the Cool Drive sponsored machine. In his home race, he loves the Adelaide streets, and why wouldn't you? An event with such history, dating back to 1985, of course, with Formula One and moving all the way through until, of course, 1995 when the last Australian Grand Prix was held. Returning, of course, in 1999 with supercars, with the Adelaide 500, and running all the way through until 2020, and then was canned briefly but then brought back by the South Australian government. Peter Malinowskis brought it back with great effect last year, and it'll be back as well. Next weekend, of course, Robbie Williams performing on Sunday night as well. That's something very much to look forward to. But these Prima Tours, very much a tour to finish. So make their way up the hill. As I say, they're just doing these 4 stages today. It's a bit of a teaser, a great way to get into the Adelaide Rally. If you're not sure if it's for you, you can drive your own car in it, see what you think, drive the 4 stages. It's not too expensive either to get yourself into. It's only just over $500, and then take to the 4 stages. You get some lunch involved as well, and if you enjoy it, then why wouldn't you return and do a tour of the full 3 days? So that's the idea, just to give people a little bit of a test, a little bit of a teaser for what they can potentially do. So lots of cars all heading up in 5-second intervals. Good field of Prima Tour entrants here today, 30 of these. By the time we get to the next stage, these guys won't be so just a couple more cars to go. So as I say, these guys won't be on our next live stream at Norton Summit. And there we see the last of the tour followers heading up the hill. So it's been a really great stage. Great to have Beaumont back on the live stream. Was missing last year, but a great addition. Really, really nice piece of road, weaving through the hills, literally on either side of the road. There we see the police car, just at the very back of the shot. So yes, we will be back a little bit later on. Nick, I believe you've got some words.
Yeah, it is. It's the last car through the stage now, and in rallying that's followed by the sweep car, which just makes sure there's nothing left behind. And then the police follow, and that is the effective reopening of the road. So if you're spectating, you don't move, you don't jump in your car until the police have come through and reopened the road. It's been a great start to the rally, Dan. These drivers and crews have gone from here to Eagle on the Hill for 3.5 kilometres of good, clean fun, followed by Cleland from virtually the Mount Lofty summit to Green Hill Road near Summertown. And as you said, we're going to join them a little bit later on when they head up Norton Summit Road from McGill to the Norton Summit Hotel.
Yes, 12:50 Norton Summit will be live streaming from for not 1 but 2 stages. So make sure you join us on the Adelaide Rally YouTube page or Facebook page and enjoy that stage later on this afternoon. We will see you there.